Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We've got part of the gang back together today. Dan has returned, although some of you saw him yesterday. We did a kind of last second get together with NorCal, but he's back for our weekly Fridays. How's it going, Dan?
The boys are back in town, bro. I kind of wanted to make a little audio clip, but I didn't want to do this to get copyrighted. So,
dude, I this morning I was driving my daughter to her daycare, and in my head I was like, you know what? When Ricky's back too, I'm 100% gonna say, to heck with it, and just wear the copyright for it.
Imagine
and put Thin Lizzy on this.
Either that or "Without Me" by Eminem. Just guess who's back again.
I'll get a gift going.
Back. Yeah.
What's
up, Alex? Good to see you too. Nah, dude, it was what I think the last show I did was the Jacob Christian interview, and then before that it was like 2 or 3 months. So yeah, I've been gone for a minute, but I am happy to be back. Happy to have a working PC. Happy to have a stabilized work schedule, and let's get the season going, baby.
You starting to both, Heron.
Ricky is a he is. Fun fact.
Oh man, now Ricky hopefully will be back before opening day. I think is kind of what we're hoping. I don't know what his timeline's looking like right now, but hopefully before opening day. I think that's kind of what we're gonna hope for here. Yeah, we'll see. Al, I don't know what you mean by blocked, but hey, maybe it's in reference to my post from earlier. Who knows? But we'll just let that be. We're gonna talk today a bunch about spring training. It's gonna be kind of focused on that. We're gonna leave Hayden Birdsong alone. For those of you that listened yesterday, a lot of ranting on Hayden Birdsong. We'll touch though on who's kind of stood out, who struggled, who's kind of early lead on some of these competitions. I mean, the reality is we are 1 week into spring training. There have been 7 games now. Giants are 5-2. So, for whatever people care about Cactus League records, I don't at all, but that's kind of where they're at. I guess it's better than being 2-5.
Yeah, we'll take a win over the Dodgers spring training or not. We'll take that any day.
You know what? I don't care if they're playing in a sister Christian school for the directionally impaired charity game. If they beat the Dodgers, I'm happy. All right.
That's so specific.
But yeah. So a win over the Dodgers is a win over the Dodgers. So
yes, sir.
So let's just kind of hop into some of the standouts here. So you kind of look up and down the lineup. I feel like we've had a lot of good in there. A few guys have struggled. Willie finally got a base knock, his first of the spring today. Good one to get. He's got a little mini ownage on Yamamoto, it feels like. I know he took him deep last season once. It took him deep again today. It was 103 mile an hour exit velocity. That
beautiful swing.
Probably would have had no issue getting out of Oracle or LA, or Dodger Stadium. So that was good to see. Ramos swinging the bat well, especially the last couple days. Had a couple doubles today. I think yesterday he had a single and a homer to opposite field that may or may not have left Oracle. Probably depends on if it's a day or night game and wind. Other than that, Lee's been swinging it well. Bader's been swinging it well. Arise is just kind of doing his thing, swinging it pretty well. Daniel Suzak, we'll talk Suzak here in a little bit. He's been doing pretty well. He got kind of screwed by the umpires today, who decided they didn't need to trot out for a fly ball and missed the fact that it actually left the yard. But
hey, I'm gonna cut you off right there. I'm gonna mention somebody who is playing well, and Aaron, you're more than welcome to clip this. Jen, you can clip this. You guys are gonna hear this one time and one time only. Patrick Bailey has been surprisingly decent at the plate this spring. I
We
didn't
just
think
found
I'd
our
ever
next
say
trade,
that.
everybody.
I didn't think I'd ever say that, but I got to give credit where credit's due.
Um, I don't know if it happened for everybody at home, but your screen just totally glitched out, and for a second I thought you might have just broken your PC by saying that.
Oh no, it's your connection on my end.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's you.
That sounds about right. Well, hopefully that settles down because there's not much I can do about it right now.
It's all good.
Hopefully that'll settle down. If it's not, everybody let us know. I'll try and mess with some stuff to see if it cleans up. But uh, the timing of that was impeccable. But yeah,
Yeah,
Bailey.
I was gonna say I just pulled it up on my end and it's yours.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm not shocked.
All good.
Should settle. But yeah, Bailey has been swinging it pretty decently. He, some nice approaches. If someone just said I'm frozen.
Yeah, you are, but you're kind of coming back to the light, so it's okay.
All right, well, maybe I'll just let you talk until it calms down a little bit.
Let me slide in for a bit.
Yeah.
Tom says it was Dan's evil twin. Hell is frozen over when Dan gives Bailey praise. Guys, I told you, get your clips while you can, because it's the one and only time I'm going to credit, bro. As soon as he strikes out this weekend, I'm going to go right back to my criticism. But no, dude, a couple guys have been swinging a wheel, even like some of the younger guys. I mean, we're going to touch on a few. You know, Blade Tidwell looked pretty sharp. Trevor McDonald's got good stuff that you can see. The other one I wanted to touch on, Victor Barracoto. He's swinging it really, really well. So yeah, there's a lot of guys, man, that are really making strides for the first week or so of spring, and it's definitely encouraging. And there's guys that are not doing so well. You saw Rick kind of touch on one. Fitzgerald not doing the greatest. Like we touched on earlier, Birdsong not doing the greatest. Mods ban Ryan. But no, dude, overall, and it's something I mentioned yesterday, it seems like you look into the season, it doesn't appear like the offense is really going to be the problem with this team. It seems like the pitching is just a major question mark. So it's nice to see some guys make some strides, but yeah, there's a lot to be determined.
Nice. It looks like my screen unfroze.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, cool.
You came back from the upside down. You're good.
Yeah. It was a fun visit, you know. But yeah, no, there's definitely a few guys are swinging it well. I think that's been the highlight. The arms. I touched on it on a video a couple days ago. It's hard to evaluate arms that first week of spring because
Yeah.
they're all working on different things, kind of like what we talked about yesterday with Birdsong. Clearly, they've got him working on that cutter slider. He doesn't have a great feel for it. Doesn't mean he's throwing the ball well. It's not an excuse. It's just, it's an example that some of these guys are working on things. So it's tough to evaluate them. But one of the big takeaways I've had, a lot of guys' velocity is up. We'll kind of touch on some of that. A couple of the bullpen arms really impressing. Killian,
Gregory Santos, man.
Gregory Santos looks really good. So those are a couple guys to keep an eye on. A few others, guys like Trevor McDonald, who I think, I don't remember if it was Pavlovich or one of them kind of mentioned, my thought is I had kind of the same thoughts on this, but he's definitely been one of the 13 best pitchers so far in spring on the Giants. And they're going to be in a weird spot where, there might be, they're going to have to make a decision, I think, on if they want him in the pen, if they want to keep him developing as a starter and Sack. That's the decision they're going to have to make with 3 or 4 of these guys who, they might be your best option as one of these last bullpen spots, but you also might want them as starters. So it's going to be kind of a tricky situation. I think if McDonald keeps this spring up, Dan and I are going to probably have a pretty spirited debate on the whole Root versus McDonald thing. If McDonald has a,
you guys will want to grab your popcorn for that one.
I hear people say sometimes that we don't really disagree on anything, and this might be one where we.
It's true, dude. We think a lot alike on a lot of things, but that's one where we'll definitely put the boxing gloves on for.
Yeah. So it's going to be it could make for a pretty interesting end of spring if he keeps it up, because you look at what he's bringing to the table right now. I mean, he's throwing that power sinker like 95. He hit 97 on it. I think he was averaging 95.2. He's touched 97 with it. And I know they described it kind of as a bowling ball, basically. Like guys just have a hard time elevating it. And playing in Oracle Park, I know he dealt with some home run issues in AAA last season. That's a lot of guys do in the PCL. He had very abnormal splits though, where he was averaging almost 2 home runs per nine in Sacramento, which is that's one of the few parks not at elevation in that league. So kind of wild there, but yeah, he's a guy that I think playing in Oracle, he could benefit a ton because he's going to get a lot of ground balls, and also the ones that he does leave up in the zone, he can kind of get away with in that park. So he could be a good fit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And another interesting tidbit, which you kind of touched on, and you posted about it on your X. Everyone follow me at EYDShow on X. Not a paid sponsor, by the way. Anyways, the a little tidbit that I noticed that it seems like velocities are up, both offensively and with the pitchers as well. Now, could that be everyone's arms and bodies are feeling fresh at the start of spring? Maybe, but it's definitely interesting where it's on a consistent daily basis. You're noticing that velocities are consistently up for both the pitchers and the hitters. So it leads me to believe maybe that's a some form of you know emphasis that the staff is placing on the team. But that's definitely a cool little tidbit there that I've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of wild because you're seeing it almost across the board, vets
Mm-hmm.
um, and the young guys. I mean, a lot. It's not uncommon to see the young guys kind of gain some velo, but a few of the vets or guys that are in their later 20s, or like Killian Santos, regained some of his velo. Hauser is up for the second straight year. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, something to kind of tuck away and keep an eye on. Um, but yeah, I mean, Big That Doe says it well. Let's see where it's at in the dog days, and for the
Absolutely.
starters, let's see where it's at in the third or fourth inning.
Yeah.
Fifth inning. It's these guys have to be able to sustain it because two things, and I think a few people mentioned it, whether it was in comments on that video I did or elsewhere, where gaining the velo is great. If you can't throw it over the plate and you can't sustain it, especially for starters, doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. But
Amen to that.
enough of these guys gain it. Hopefully, at least two or three of them can hone it in a little bit. The team will be in good shape at that point. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We're gonna get a lot of the other thing that's going to be happening here, and I know a few reporters have kind of talked about this. The A lot of the players are going to be heading out. I know Lee is already head out. A day or two ago, he went to Tokyo because Korea is going to be playing in Tokyo for the World Baseball Classic for that section. And a lot of these other guys are going to be leaving here in the next few days. So we're going to get a lot of, kind of a long look, I think, at a handful of outfielders in particular. You're going to have guys like Matos is going to get a look. McCray's probably going to keep getting at bats. He's actually had some really good at bats. The numbers might not stand out, but I want to shout out his at bat quality. So McCray's going to get probably a good look. Gilbert's going to probably get a pretty good look. I would imagine even guys like Bo is going to get a few at starts, but like Brennan's going to get a look. You're going to see a lot of these guys get opportunities for a week or week and a half or however long. Because you're probably going to see, I think Bader and Ramos are both going to be heading
Mm-hmm.
out to Team Israel and Team Puerto Rico. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there, but I think we're going to get a pretty good feel on that fourth outfield spot for sure.
Yeah, and I mean competition's a good thing, man. Competition breeds success, and it's something we've been asking for. We want to get an extended look at some of these younger guys, some of these guys that are looking to crack the opening day roster as the fourth outfielder, fourth or fifth, or just the depth in general. They want to make the team, so I think it's going to be a good thing, man. They're going to get a lot of ABs. They're going to get a lot of playing time in the outfield, and a couple guys that I'd say to just keep an eye out for that are really looking to make a name for themselves. And I think it starts with Luis Matos. A lot of question marks about him, out of options. Debating on whether he's going to get traded, whether he's going to get DFA'd, whether he's going to make the opening day roster. It really just comes down to how he performs. And here's his chance. What are you going to do with it? And then some younger guys, like you touched on, you're going to see, like Bo Davidson's going to get a lot of playing time. He's a super exciting player. You can probably see him, making a push for the big league team next year. So it'd be nice for him to try to boost his stock a little bit as far as the farm rankings are concerned, and just take a lot of momentum into his minor league season. And then other guys you mentioned, like Will Brennan, who can come through. We'll probably see a little bit of Drew Gilbert. Maybe he can sharpen up some of the bat and let that carry over. So just in general, it'll be cool to see. My only gripe is that I hope we can actually watch the games. Come on, Giants. What are we doing? Today was a blessing, but what are we doing? It should be a daily thing.
Tomorrow we can't, unfortunately. Nope. It's just audio. But that said, I kind of peeked ahead, I think. And I didn't look at next weekend, but I did look ahead, and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are all going to be televised in some capacity. So we get 4 straight days of watching Giants baseball.
And my days off too. Let's go.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see a couple notes in here. Dan said McCray had a very good at bat. 2 challenges went his way, back-to-back pitches. 1 challenge and the other one from the Dodgers. Yeah, he did. He had that was against a really tough lefty, kind of a crossfire delivery. So that was good to see. He's had a good feel of the zone in spring. He has one of the wildest prospect savant pages. I don't know if you've ever looked at his page from AAA last year, but it is kind of crazy. And of course it just like froze up.
Jen says, can someone buy Dan C a drone? He can fly over the games for us. I'm about to have Dan put a iPhone on his forehead and FaceTime him so I can watch the games.
We're gonna, hey Dan, we're gonna go live next game, and we'll just FaceTime you, and then we'll live stream it straight to I'm sure the quality will be fantastic.
Yeah. Couldn't be any worse than some of the minor league quality that we get. So they put a freaking iPod Touch 500 feet away in center field.
Dude, Fresno, where it's like, or is it Fresno? Or yeah, I think it's Fresno, where I swear to God, the sun just pounds it for the first like 3 innings of the game. So it's like this red orange tint.
I was gonna say, it's always funny with like quality like that, when they hit a home run and then they just pan the camera in the opposite direction. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Yeah, so this is kind of I just wanted to bring this up for McCray. I thought this was pretty interesting. This was in AAA last season, and it kind of illustrates the issues that he's kind of dealt with. He doesn't chase a ton. Like it's a little more than average. He struggled when he got to the majors. Obviously, sometimes that takes some adjustment though. Does a good job at swinging at pitches in the zone, where it's a 74th percentile, swing percentage there. But his zone contact is 29th percentile. Like it's just, it's not even really pitch selection all the time with him. It just doesn't put the bat on the ball. So they've made some adjustments to him. I know they tried to like get him a little more, a little wider base to try and, less stride. They've done some 2-strike stuff with him, trying to get him a little more open. They've tried to, they've made some tweaks to his stance and everything, but hopefully this year he can kind of take that jump, because I think physically we all see the gifts that he has. He would be a wonderful 4th outfielder on this team if he can just put the bat on the ball, because defensively he's a weapon. The arm is a weapon. He showed that off a few times in last season. I always think back to the game they beat the Dodgers in extras in Oracle, and he hosed the dude at third base. on the sac fly attempt, or when they tried to hit the fly ball to right to move the run over and the extras. Speed obviously could be a weapon for him, but he just got to put the bat on the ball. So
Yeah, I agree. Um, for the same reasons that you said, it just if he can figure out how to swing a bat, he would be a nice player.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah.
Mark says if the fourth outfielder is going to have or going to be a weak bat, he better have an above average glove. That's why I think that, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, Cody, but that's why I think Drew Gilbert is more than likely going to be guaranteed the fourth outfield spot. Even though there's a lot to be desired with the bat, he can play all three outfield positions, like you mentioned. He's got, a quality glove and above average speed. So that's why I'm pretty sure he's got the fourth outfield spot locked down.
And the only person that I think might take it, the more I've stewed on this, the more I think McCray actually has a little bit of a shot. Because and it's only because I think they might try to develop Gilbert more as like a potential starter. So I could see them wanting him to get everyday reps in AAA. Because for the same reason, it's like Mark said here, like if you're gonna have a weaker bat, you need a good glove. Well, both of those guys kind of fit that mold right now. So
Yeah.
it just comes down to what the team kind of prefers and how they want to develop. I do like Gilbert more on the roster though, because he does make contact much more frequently. So
I thought you were going to say he gets choked more frequently. I was like, yeah, that's true.
that is also accurate. But yeah, he's got and I ultimately I think one of those two is going to be on the roster because I don't see the team going fully right-handed bench. I think they're going to want a lefty there. So my opinion, one of those two is going to end up on the roster.
Yeah. And especially for the reason that you said, lefty. They are lefties, and this lineup is pretty right-handed dominant. So if you got a good glove and solid speed, and you can hit from the left side of the plate, you got an edge.
Yeah, for sure. Jason Contreras says, "Do any of the Carsons have a shot at making the bullpen?"
A couple of them.
Yeah, I mean we're down to two now. One of them's in. I don't even know where Ragsdale is nowadays, but between Seymour and Wisenhunt, I'd say Seymour is more likely to be in the pen.
Whoa,
It
Jen.
seems. Did I miss something? Oh,
Whoa, Jen.
boy, that escalated quickly. Dude, but I think Seymour, the team seems to be committing towards him being in the pen.
Yeah.
I think they've reached that point where they're going to move on from him as a starter and focus on him in the pen. Wisenhunt remains to be seen. They were giving him a second inning of work in his last outing. Obviously, it didn't go his way. It didn't go well in the second inning. The first inning was great. I think he threw like 13 pitches, 10 or 11 of them for strikes. The velocity was up. He was up. I think he hit like 96.4 or 96.6. Was what he topped out there. And then he comes out for a second inning of work and he just flat out couldn't throw strikes. It was not really an issue of stuff. The stuff all graded out well. Even his slider graded out above average if you go off stuff plus, as far as the shape goes. But don't look at the location because that was non-existent in the second inning. So we'll see. The team as of right now seems to be stretching him out, but if he continues to show that for an inning he can be highly effective, or two innings even. I don't think Matt Gage is guaranteed a spot by any stretch. I could easily see Wisenhunt overtaking him. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, Wiz is another one of those guys where you've seen the velo rise with him, which is great. So a combination of an increased velocity with that third pitch actually looking decent. Now it's just a matter of putting it all together for him. He's got 2 of the 3 check marks that you want. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Wiz didn't make it initially, if they just wanted to get him a little bit more innings to sharpen his stuff. But if he finishes spring pretty solid, I think a case is to be made for him for sure.
Rice says Juan Sanchez, an interesting guy that could make the bullpen. What do you guys think of him? I like Juan Sanchez. Um, he was a guy that I actually felt very confident was going to be on the Giants in the Giants bullpen back in 2024 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
He had that massive spring that year. I thought he had a chance at making the team. I was a little shocked when he didn't make the team out of spring. Was throwing the ball pretty decently in Sacramento, and then all of a sudden he got hurt, and I believe it was Tommy John for him. Missed all of last season. Came back for the fall league. I don't think he's going to make the team out of spring because of the fact that he hasn't thrown a ton in the last almost 2 years now. But I do think he's a name to watch because it would not surprise me at all if he has a really nice start for first couple months of the year in sack. And if you do that, then you're a phone call away in sack. So I
Yeah.
mean, he definitely could make the team in my opinion at some point this season.
Yeah, he's a guy where I don't think it'll be opening day, but I can definitely see it being May or June. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
Now a guy that I mentioned very, very briefly earlier that I do think has a good chance of making the opening day bullpen, that would be Gregory Santos. Velo's up, stuff is nasty. He looks good.
Yeah. Still has a little bit of that wildness to him, but
He always will, but
yeah. When he's on, he's on. I mean, this is a guy that he's had one full season in the majors, and it was very impressive. That year in Chicago, I think he had like a 3.39 ERA. Was a super effective reliever, but ever since then, dealt with some injuries, a lot of wildness. Only made I think 8 appearances each of the last 2 years with Seattle. Couldn't seem to stick in the majors there. His velocity had dipped back down into like the 96 range. Now it's back up at 99, 100. Um, he throws that hard slider that doesn't, I mean, it doesn't break a ton, but I think he threw a 94-mile-an-hour slider today at
yeah,
one
it was
point.
disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to do with a 94-mile-an-hour slider, even if it's only like a
Even that
cutter plus? Like,
even that strikeout, it was just straight heat
yeah,
painted on the outside corner. I was like, all right, that's
yeah.
unhittable right there.
Yeah. It's like Doval used to do that where he'd have that one random day where he had command of his fastball and
Yeah, you
he would
couldn't
like
touch it.
he would put like 102 on the black and I just look at that going, what are you supposed to do as a hitter with that?
Those
Like
are where you
just
just throw the bat head out and just hope
yeah.
to get lucky.
Yeah. And then people would wonder why he threw 15 sliders in a row and it's because the next two fastballs would go at the dude's head.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whatever. He's New York's problem now. Um,
amen.
but we'll see. Gage and Buto out of options. I think so. Honestly, I'd have to pull it up. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they are.
I think Buto might make it though.
I do. I feel pretty confident he's going to be on the roster. A little more proven, a little more track record. I think they're going to be a little more patient with him. The one I'm kind of curious on is Hench's right now. Not that I mean, if he's healthy, he's a guaranteed arm
Yeah.
in the pen, but he hasn't even as far as I know, I don't think he's thrown to any live batters at all yet. So I think it's just worth monitoring. There might be one extra spot kind of open in the pen early on if he doesn't get healthy in time for the start of the season. Which if he's not, that could be kind of problematic because I think they're kind of relying on him to be one of the late inning guys. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And speaking of late inning guys, let's talk about this. George asks, hello, Dan and Cody. Hello. Does Walker close for us all year, in your opinion?
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. I mean, he's coming into spring with a lot of self-confidence. He wants to reclaim his job and he, claims that he can be an effective closer. I'm all but out on the guy. Last year was just painful to watch. But at the same time, who can close that's on the team right now?
Yeah.
It's a big question mark, a big mystery. And so yeah, my answer is just like Cody's. Who knows, man? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I have a little more. I don't want to say faith in him, but I think I have a little more.
He's Cody's a little nicer than me. We'll put it that way.
Well, just I'm just gonna say I recognize the fact that relievers are so volatile year to year. I know Dan, Ricky, and I we've all talked about this on many shows where a guy can come out one year dominate, the next year he looks like he's just completely hopeless out there, and then the following year he dominates, and the next year it's kind of yeah you see that all the time where it's just a roller coaster, not even outing to outing, like year to year with these guys where they're pitching in a smaller sample size, and if something goes kind of haywire with them, and especially if something goes haywire and their confidence gets impacted, like it clearly did with Walker last year, and it clearly did with Doval at times. Um, you see this where a guy that can be so dominant all of a sudden just looks like a complete liability in the pen, and that's where he was at last year. But just as easily as it can go completely wrong, we've seen how it can go completely right with these guys. So there's a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
if the slider is effective again, if because that was the big bugaboo for him. I mean, aside from having no clue where the ball was going half the time, the slider just completely lost all effectiveness where he was just not getting the swing and miss on it
It was
like he
so
used to.
nasty in 24, bro. It
Yeah,
was
and it's
disgusting.
so if he shows up and he's got that slider in the beginning of April, if we see that guy, I mean, yeah, a lot of us are gonna be like, "All right, gear up." Like, they might be just fine at closer, and if they are, I mean, how much does that change the outlook of this pen if Ryan Walker shows up ready to rock and he looks like a guy that's gonna, save high 80s, low 90s percentage of their game of their, of his opportunities. What does that do to this bullpen where everyone looks at the pen as, "Oh, it's this huge problem," and then all of a sudden you might be looking at the pen like, okay, maybe it's not the best pen in the league, but it's functional. Like we can live with it. We can win with this.
Yeah, I that kind of goes back to my point in my solo show last week where I touched on, the bullpen is the biggest question mark for this team as it stands. And the simple phrase for it is what if? You
Yeah.
know, what if Ryan Walker returns to form? What if Carson Wisenhunt, establishes that third pitch and solidifies himself as a bullpen arm? What if Jose Budo is solved? What if Gregory Santos turns into a beast? What if Trevor McDonald is, a weapon out of the pen? There's so many what ifs out of these young guys on the bubble to make the bullpen for this year's team that it can really go one way or another. They can all flop, and you can have one of the worst pens in league and need to address it at the deadline ASAP. Or a couple of these guys could click, and you can actually have a very effective bullpen. But it's just there's so many what ifs, and that's what really makes it a mystery. That's why it's really hard to kind of speculate on what this team is going to do because, like we talked about yesterday, it's a weird time to be a Giants fan. We're so used to having a average to below average offense, but a semi-dominant pitching staff and a super super effective bullpen, and that's always been the strength of our team. Now it's kind of flipped. You got an offense where and if you look at the lineup on paper, there's maybe one, two weak links, like just to the naked eye. I'm not going to say who, but we all know who. Um,
Hey, what if Bailey hits like he did the last month of the year for
let's not
5
talk.
months?
Let's not talk crazy. Let's not talk crazy. But I'm serious though. You got at least 7, 8 guys in your lineup on a regular basis that can be super super effective. And somebody commented earlier, this has the potential to be a top 10 offense. Pitching staff, I mean, it's really a mystery as far as what you're
Yeah.
going to get out of the bottom 3 guys, but and the pen is just a bunch of question marks. So that's why it's really hard to speculate what's going to happen with this team because it's just a weird time to be a Giants fan. We're used to having a terrible offense with great
Yeah.
pitching, and now you got great offense on paper with questionable pitching. So yeah, man, like I said, the simple phrase I can use is "what if."
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality of this team. And I know it's I know Aaron over there, Bake That Dough, is probably just losing his mind right now at all the ifs because he likes to give us crap about that.
I said that just for him.
It's well deserved. We definitely we definitely have to throw it. But I mean, that's just the reality of where this team is. It's they're not the Dodgers. They're not a team that's going into the season with a roster that looks like, barring disaster, they're going to be a playoff team. They look like a team kind of on the fringes of the wild card contention there that, needs a couple things to go their way during the season. They need one of these guys to step up. So yeah, unfortunately the ifs are going to have to come in for now. And, maybe they can start the year strong and they I said it yesterday. I don't have a doubt in my mind that if this team is 10, 12 games over 500 in a playoff, in a good playoff spot around the deadline, I don't have a single doubt in my mind that Posey's going to make a deal. Like I think he will 100% add to this team to make it feel less like an if at that point. It feels, but this is where we're at on February 27th. So
yeah, for sure.
I have an answer for this question, actually. What if Bailey gets over 20 home runs?
Don't say it.
I think we should tell everybody the tattoo bet for this season.
All right, guys, you remember the bet from last year where I bet that if Wilmer got 30 home runs or 100 RBIs, that I would get a Wilmer Flores tattoo. And the first month and a half, I'll admit, I was scared. He was top 5 in RBIs, and then he hit like 15 for the rest of the season, so I was safe. But the new tattoo bet this year is this exact thing right here. If Bailey gets 20 home runs, K-Man's getting a Patrick Bailey tattoo.
Oh, man. It's going to be hilarious.
I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know where it's going to go. I know Cody and Ricky and Aaron probably want it to be a tramp stamp on the lower back. I'm not cool with that, but I'll let you guys all decide on it.
No. I would never make you get a tramp stamp.
Oh, God, he's doing something. I know, Cody.
I'm thinking this is what we roll with. Something along these lines. I think we do the Christian Koss jersey thing that he did.
Hell no.
Just get a nice solid 14. Make sure it has Bailey in the print up at the top. I think we go with that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. No,
man.
The day
on me.
I'll finally find true love, and she'll take one look at my back and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
Lost a bet. Oh man, that'd be hilarious.
Alex says, "Now let's hear you say something nice about Lamont Wade Jr., Wilmer Flores. How about no?"
He doesn't have to anymore. They're gone. Alex says, "I'll be honest. I'm not totally convinced our rotation is going to last. Still not the biggest fan of Hauser and Malley. Sorry. I'm willing to wait and see, but huge what ifs there. Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think Hauser made around 24, 25 starts last year. Malley made 12. I don't know.
They combined for like 120 innings.
Yeah. I think when you look at Zips, it was either Zips or Steamer. They're projecting out of the Giants 5, projected starting pitchers. I think they're only projecting like 132-ish starts or something like that out of them.
Yeah. So
the Giants would have to fill in 30 starts. I think that's pretty fair, honestly. I think that's kind of where I ballparked it. I think I said before that the Giants likely are going to have to fill 30 to 40 starts this season. I don't have a lot of faith in the rotation to stay healthy. Now, that said, I am higher than most people on guys like McDonald, Tidwell. Maybe Birdsong figures it out, but at least like McDonald and Tidwell, I feel pretty decent about as starters. Like I don't have the concerns on those guys finding the zone. They could get knocked around though. I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but McDonald in particular, I'm gonna, I've been a little harsh on him at times in the past, but the one thing I want to point out with him is last season between the minors and majors, he threw 157 in a third innings. which is more than Adrian Hauser has ever thrown in a season in his career. And it's like 20 something in or 30 innings more than Tyler Malley's thrown in the last 3 years. So I feel pretty decent that McDonald can, fill in deep into the year if he needs to. Uh, Tidwell, he's been able to throw a decent amount of innings. He dealt with a shoulder thing late in the year, unfortunately, that kind of set him back at the end. But we've seen what he can do this spring a little bit. The sweeper's been really good. His slider can be really good. His velocity on his fastball's up a tick. He's working on a splitter. He threw a changeup prior. It sounds like he changed it over to a splitter. I think he's got a chance to be a pretty effective starter as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna like this take, but I got major concerns with the rotation as a whole. You know what you're gonna get out of Webb. You're gonna get 200-ish innings. You're gonna get a.
What if Webb doesn't finish the year out?
That's honestly a
We do all the
fear
good what
because
ifs.
that's a fear because Robbie Ray was electric in the first half last year and was a completely different pitcher in the second half. Then you've got Landon Roop, who I've definitely lost a lot of my love for him a little bit, but the fact of the matter with Landon Roop is he hasn't really proven he can stay healthy. And I mean, yeah, he had a little freak injury last year, but health is wealth, and that's a big concern for me there. Then behind him, you've got Hauser and Molly, who haven't proven that they can stay on the field. And we saw last year, especially with the lack of pitching depth. So yes, it's a good thing that you got guys like Tidwell and McDonald, and possibly Birdsong if he figures out how to throw a baseball again, that can potentially throw in and help or fill in and help. But in my opinion, you've got one solidified starter, one who you're hoping can reclaim his first half magic, and then you got 3 question marks in addition to a bullpen of question marks. And so a big thing that Giants fans were asking for all offseason was address the pitching, bring in pitching. And that's something that they did very seldomly with some, minor moves. But definitely not enough to solidify either the pen or the rotation. So I got major concerns and question marks about that as a whole. So, yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on it.
I think that's completely fair. I mean, Roop, and if Roop only had that knee injury at the end, like if that's the extent of what the injuries that popped up for him, I'd probably be like very adamant that I think he's fine. Like we're good to go there. But I do think the thing that people forgot about with him is he had elbow inflammation in July. Then he came back, had 2 starts that just went totally sideways for him, and that's why I don't trash his numbers too much. I mean, really 90% of the damage came in those 2 starts. I think he had a 3.11 ERA before those 2 August starts. He was having a good year up into or really, really good year until that point. But he had those 2 starts go sideways, and then he had the freak ACL thing where he got hit with the line drive and like took a weird step off the mound. Luckily, nothing tore. But yeah, I mean, he had a back injury in the minors. Then they used him as a reliever, kind of fringe reliever starter. They kind of went back and forth with him a little bit back in 2024, but because of that, he only threw like 70 or 80 innings. Yeah, I mean, Robbie, like Dan said, he was not the same guy in the second half. Now, I think that partially has to do with him coming back from Tommy John. It's his first full year, but he's not getting any younger. So while he's been historically good for 160 to 180 innings, something happens to him if he misses time to injury. Like this is not a deep rotation. You have Logan Webb, who has been as reliable as they come, but if something were to happen to him, I mean, this team's gonna be up the creek without a paddle if something happens to Logan Webb, because there's not a lot of length behind him.
Yeah, man. So again, it just goes back to that phrase, what if? I mean, what if Robbie Ray regains his first half magic? What if Roop stays healthy and performs the same? What if Hauser and Molly perform at their peaks and they actually have healthy seasons? I mean, then you got a great rotation. But again, it's just a
Yeah.
bunch of what ifs. I would have preferred to bring in a guy who you know is going to be a solidified number two and hold things down. But beggars can't be choosers. I just hope that we don't run into a situation like we've seen in years past where we're just seemingly out of pitchers and you're leaning on a bullpen game to from start to finish. I just
Yeah.
I don't know. But like you said, there's a few guys that have been really, really good to begin spring. Blade Tidwell we're really, really high on. Charlie McDonald we're really, really high on. And it's nice to know that we've got them as insurance. Definitely. Like hopefully they make an impact on the pen, but you've at least know you've got them as insurance should anything go bad as far as the rotation is concerned. They can kind of slide in and get you a little
Yeah.
bit of stability there. But like I said, it would be nice to just have somebody that's already solidified and proven. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would have rather taken instead of signing both Malley and Hauser, I would have much rather seen them invest the money in, one starter that you felt pretty good about getting 170 innings out of. Like I would have felt way better about that out of this team. Because I do feel like there's a couple young guys that could have filled those back end innings, whether that's McDonald or Tidwell or whoever. Um, but this is what the team did. They're gonna have to live with it. They
Yeah.
really need Malley to get healthy and stay healthy for at least, 3/4 of the season because he's shown what he can do when he's out there. But he obviously hasn't done a whole lot of it in the last 3 years. So
Yeah, I really wish they would have pursued Freddie Peralta. I feel like that would have been
yeah,
just a perfect plug-in, for a
yeah,
1-2 punch with Webby, and then you're not putting so much pressure on Robbie. That would have been perfect. Or even like we talked about, like Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez. I can confirm the Giants did make an offer to Framber, but it wasn't near what he wanted.
wasn't 38 million a year.
No, I can confirm that, but it would have been nice to see them pursue one of those guys, but you know, we make the best of what we got.
Yep, that's what we got. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, a couple young guys step up because not that most of you guys need a reminder, but Robbie Ray is a free agent after this season, and Tyler Malley is a free agent after this season. So the Giants have 3 starting pitchers under contract.
What I'll say is
That are in the
Jacob
conversation.
Bresnahan. Jacob Bresnahan, if you are watching, we need you to speed things up, buddy.
Yeah.
Get to San Francisco.
Yeah, I love Bressy, but he's probably a few years away.
I
I
know.
will say this that I am going to try and work it out with him on making sure I get to one of his starts early this year, and I'm gonna try and park it right behind home plate for that one, and hopefully get some good videos for everybody.
Dude, Bresley's such a chill guy.
Yeah, if I get there early enough, I might be able to like catch his. I might be able to like get. They have some good spots to watch the bullpens, so I'm gonna get some good film that will be available on the membership for anybody over there. So we'll try and do some good stuff with that. But
And boss, you're sending me out to San Jose soon, right?
hell yeah, get these
So
guys over to San Jose, to Sacramento. They'll catch some of those. I do try to get to usually when the River Cats play in Tacoma. I try and keep an eye on that. I'll try and get there. So I'll try and see if I can line up a game with one of the exciting young pitchers for that one. Last year I got to see Trent Harris pitch there. He threw a couple scoreless innings in the game I went to. Got to see Meckler almost throw me a ball in a play.
Yeah. Sounds about
over
right.
by first base. Saw Bryce hit one about 114 miles an hour. That was pretty cool. So yeah, it's some fun. Anybody that likes base, for everyone here, I'm assuming all of you guys like baseball, if you're here watching. So go to minor league games. They're super fun. They're pretty expensive. Good. It's just good baseball, and it's enjoyable.
It's cool for us. Like, I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything, but it's cool to like be known when you go.
It is kind of funny. Yeah.
It's cool. I remember I think I texted you when it happened when me and Ricky went. We like the staff at San Jose game when we're getting through, they're like, "Are you Cody?" And we're like, "No, that's Ricky." And they're like, "Oh, Ricky, Dan. Okay, Cody's the other one." And I'm just like, "How the hell do you know that?" Like that's cool to me. But no, it's just cool, dude. It's a cool experience. Just
Fun.
kicking with the players. I remember I was talking with JC, and he was like, "I'm gonna go take some swings," and went over to the batting cage, and dude hits them. They're loud off his bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Why does a beer batter have to be hitting 475? Hey, they weren't off Bresnahan though.
Yeah, true.
That dude, I swear to God, struck out every beer batter he faced last season.
Shout out Brezzy. I think we talked with him about that.
Man
too.
of the people.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
let's get to a couple of these. We're running a little short on time.
Yeah, for sure. Do we have any concerns about Webb pitching at the WBC? Not really, although I do understand there is a little bit of a history of those guys not necessarily having the greatest year. Let's see what else we got in here.
If there's a guy who you can get extra innings out of in a season, it's Logan Webb. That's my takes on it. I don't have any concerns. He doesn't have injury history. He's comfortable and more than willing to throw over 200 innings a season plus stuff with like the WBC. So I think he's fine.
Yeah. Do you think Posey might still have a move or two related to pitching before the season starts?
He might.
Hey, Kopech and is it Colombe?
I really want Kopech, bro. I don't know why he's still unsigned.
It's both of those guys. It's kind of wild. There's a couple of arms out there. Maybe we'll see. I think Posey wants to get a good look at the internal candidates this spring, but
yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't shock. It really would not shock me in the next 2 weeks if all of a sudden they pull in one of those guys. So, but we'll see.
Definitely wouldn't shock me. Tom says, do you explore a Robbie Ray extension if he's good early on like last season? Honestly, I would prefer that you get younger and a little bit more solidified in your rotation. If you're going to re-sign Robbie, in my opinion, it's got to be first half of last season Robbie Ray and no more than like a 2-year deal. And let him know, hey, you're going to be our 3 or 4 in the rotation. We're looking to beef up the top half. That's the only scenario in which I would really pursue that.
2-year extension is probably my max as well. Alex says, speaking of which, how are we feeling about Bryce making the opening day roster at the moment? I mean, nothing's really changed for me. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. I think it's 50-50 really at the moment. I do think that he got a nice learning experience and a little bit of an education facing Yamamoto today that hopefully he will take something away from. For those of you that did watch the game, got abused a little bit by Yamamoto, faced him twice, struck out twice, and both bats did not look particularly competitive. But I do think that was partially an approach thing, and I think that's something that Bryce is going to have to understand when he's facing a guy like Yamamoto. You can't fall behind a 0-2, and you especially can't fall behind a 0-2 without the bat leaving your shoulder. So, got to be up there ready to hack a little bit. I know Yamamoto kind of pitched him backwards and went off speed, then threw the fastball up, and then went with the splitter down. But
we are counting that double, Jason.
Hey. Why you don't draw pictures in the box score. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it's a good learning experience for him that you can't be falling behind against a guy like that 0-2. You got to be up there ready to hack. So
if it was up to me, Bryce is making the opening day roster, and I'm making it known he's the future face of this team. Putting all my confidence into him and telling him, yo, I don't care if you hit 130 in the month of April. We're gonna play you on a regular basis. We believe in you being the future face of this team. Go out and get that playing time and go get it done, kid. That's what I would do. But again, I'm not in charge. If I was in charge, a lot of things would be different.
Yeah. Tom says, I don't think they had the farm depth to get Peralta. They had the depth. It's just I don't think they had the willingness, honestly, for a guy that's on an expiring deal. Not for the cost that what he ended up costing.
No,
it's definitely easier for a team like the Mets to swallow that cost, who have a great farm, and they're 2 years removed from being the NLCS, and they have guys like Lindor, Soto, etc. on their roster already. It's easier for that team to think, okay, we are right there, because they were 20 games over 500 last year at one point before it all fell apart. But easier for them to stomach that than a team like the Giants, who are probably more. I don't think even with Freddie Peralta here, they would have felt like they're a playoff team right now. They might have felt closer or like they had a better chance, but
would have helped.
Different situation. Go out and get Joe Ryan. Twins will eventually have to trade and break everything down. I mean, I think he's on the table for sure. I don't know what the cost is going to look like. I do think if this is closer to the deadline, there's a better. I feel confident the Giants farm is going to be looked at more favorably as the year goes on. I'm pretty high on a lot of these guys, so they should have the ammunition to get them if they want to go that route.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. Did we miss any others?
I didn't say anything.
I think that's all we've got for chats. I mean, other than that, I don't know if we're gonna wrap this up here in a few minutes. We'll keep it to about an hour today. But can
I just say, shout out Daniel Susak, man. The Giants have their backup catcher. That has been solidified. He's won the job. Game over. If it was me, if I'm running the team, he's getting at least 35-40% of the starts. At least. Dudes look great. That's all I'm going to say. I don't really blame that base running blunder on him. That ball was smoked, and it was a great play by the infielder. Yeah. Not much you can do there, but that opposite field bomb that he hit, yes, it was a bomb. I'm not counting as a double. That was a home run. Just in general, he's looked really, really good.
Yeah, that base running error, I mean, it's hard because, you are supposed to freeze on a line drive, and he definitely took a step or step and a half or whatever towards second. But that is so hard. That's one that over half the players in the league make that, blunder. So it's a little nitpicky, but I'm not even mad about it. It's spring. This is where you learn to make those mistakes. But yeah, I mean, he's a solid defender. He's hitting the ball hard. And that's all you can hope for. And to Dan's point about making 35-40% of the starts, like, this isn't even like a disrespect towards Bailey thing. Like, this is the workload that a normal backup should have, is 35-40% of the playing time in today's game, because as we've seen with Bailey, with Posey, with whatever catcher you want to talk about, these guys wear down as the season goes. If you get Susak out there a good amount, Bailey's got a much better chance of being fresh in August fresher in August and September, which not only will help his bat theoretically, but his defense will be better and sharper at that time of year. So this is just something that teams should do. I look at I don't think you need to go full Braves mode on this, where they're playing like Murphy and Baldwin almost like 50-50, but this is something that they need to work towards. So just my 2 cents.
Yeah, but all I'm going to say is so much better than Tom Murphy.
I'm going to repeat what I said on yesterday's show. A pitchback is better than Tom Murphy. Disrespect is intended on that one. Could not. I never stood that. I never liked that signing. Never will, is what it is. I hope he gets healthy, though. I don't root for anybody to be injured like that. So I do hope he gets healthy and can continue his career elsewhere.
Let me scroll through these last ones here. Road King Rob says, we need to pick a game and SJ and all of us show up. Let's do it, bro. I'm always down. Beer's on me.
Victor.
Let's see. I'm just scrolling through some of these.
This is the real reason why Dan wants Susak getting 35-40%.
I'm not gonna say yes, or I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah. On a positive note, here we'll talk. We're gonna wrap it up here in just a minute, but on a positive note, college baseball season's underway. I don't know how many of you guys are paying attention to this, but so far, I gotta say, you gotta be feeling pretty good as a Giants fan right now, having the 4th pick. And I mean, I'm not even gonna go into some of the prep high school. I know like Emerson and trying to think, Lombard. Those two are viewed are pretty highly touted, toolsy guys, but
Bring
at
me
the prep
Justin
level.
LeBron. Bring me Justin LeBron.
But even just on the college level right now, if you're the Giants, you got the 4th pick, and I said this in the Discord a little bit ago, but if you're the Giants, you got the 4th pick, and you're guaranteed that at least 2 of the group of Chalowski, whatever. He'll probably go 1, but of these 5 players, between him, LeBron, Drew Burris, and then the 2 pitchers, Fluky and Flora, like 2 of those guys are gonna be on your board, possibly more if some of these prep shortstops go in the top 3. So, yeah, I mean, I gotta say, as a Giants fan, this was a good year to move up in the draft, and hopefully they don't screw it up. But they're gonna have a good shot at getting a premium talent with that pick.
Justin LeBron, and even if it means Justin LeBron has to pull Laramie Tunsil to fall in the draft, bring me Justin LeBron. If you guys get that reference, you'll know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Yeah. Somebody's going to be the dude with AI now. Dan's going to be like in his lab right before the draft.
Bro, whatever it takes, I need him on this team.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, they've got some they've got some opportunities in the draft though for you guys. I do like LeBron. I know before the year there were definitely concerns on his swing and miss. That was something that I was like, hey, I just need to see that improve, because
none of that this year.
Holy crap, he is mashing this year, and I mean he might need to settle down a little bit, because if we want him there at 4, because he keeps hitting like this, he's going to be the second or third pick.
Freaking tennis racket.
Yeah. That said, I know Ricky and I don't necessarily agree with the whole taking a college arm in the top 5, but
same.
Man, I like Fluky. Flora's been getting all the hype, but I like Fluky. That's a guy that he kind of Glasnow is. Yeah, you watch him.
I could see that.
But I feel like it's Glasnow with better command coming out.
Yeah, so, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think that's all I really got for today. We'll possibly be back next week with we will be back next Friday, but I don't know what all we're gonna have content wise next week. We're working on. I've got one more player that we're trying to get on, be a returning guest.
The homie.
Yeah. He already said he'll join. I feel confident in that one, but we're gonna try and get Jank back on. Jeremiah Jenkins. He is got on the 2080 scale. He's got an 80 grade personality. So we're gonna try and get him back on with us. He's a super cool dude. Hoping to catch him in Eugene this year.
Yeah. That's the homie.
But we'll try and get him on soon.
He is mini Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
You see the swing, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, super fun guy. That'll be a fun show. So yeah. Once it gets down to AZ, we'll make it work.
Yeah. Alex, and just so you know, for this comp, I'm just talking kind of delivery and everything. Who knows? Health. That's the risk, especially with pitchers early.
Alex, he's like a mixture of Fergie and Jesus, if you get that reference.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, everybody. We'll go Giants. We'll catch you guys all next time. I'll probably put a video or 2 out during the week next week, but we will be back to do the same thing for the second week of spring training next Friday. Other than that, I say go Giants. We'll catch you all next time.
Yes, sir.